that she met Jay-Z and had intercourse with him. How old was she?
I would say I think she was about 16, 17, or 16, just turning 16 or 17. I know it was one of them.
Let me tell you a story. Not one of those you read on the front pages of newspapers, but one that hides in the dark corridors of power, where secrets never die, they just change shape. My name is A, but my name doesn't matter. What matters is what I know. I worked for D, a life spent pulling invisible strings for men who run the entertainment world. Yet the name that haunts me isn't his, it's another, S.C.J. His story isn't one of musical success or wild wealth. It's a story of silence, of secrets buried but never really dead. It all started with a woman, W, a 16-year-old girl with simple dreams and eyes full of light. But after one night in Brooklyn, her life was shattered. It was 1992. He was 22 and already had the ambition of a king. She was a girl from Philadelphia, unaware of what was about to happen to her. I was told that there was one night, just one night. He met her, took her to his apartment, then disappeared. 2 weeks later, W realized something was growing inside her. A new life. The life that S.C.J. would do anything to deny. When I first saw the face of R.W.'s son, I was speechless. The resemblance was eerie. Same facial structure, same penetrating gaze. But there was something more. Something I couldn't explain. Wasn't a shy girl or someone who'd stay quiet. No, she fought for her son. When R was just a boy, she filed a lawsuit against J, demanding child support. I saw the documents myself. I saw the name SC scrawled in bold. But the case was dismissed due to a technical error. They said it was presented incorrectly. I've been around long enough to know what that really means. Someone made sure it never saw the light of day. W didn't have the money or connections to fight back. Jay's lawyers tore her efforts apart like they were nothing, but even then, she never stopped trying. She'd tell anyone who would listen, R is his son. He needs to know where he comes from. It wasn't about money. It was about the truth. The years hadn't been kind to W. I remember meeting her years later. The fire in her eyes had faded, replaced by exhaustion. They'll never make him take the test, she told me. They know what it would mean. Her words stayed with me. They haunted me. When W died in 2019, R was left to continue her fight alone. He was a young man at the time, with a face that mirrored the man he believed was his father. But he wasn't just fighting for himself. He was fighting for his mother's legacy. R once told me, "It's not about the test anymore. It's about everything they've done to silence us." And he was right. Jay's refusal to take a paternity test wasn't just suspicious, it was overwhelming. Why wouldn't he clear his name if he had nothing to hide? R believed it was more than just an attempt to avoid the truth. He believed it was a matter of age. W was 16th, Jay was 22nd. If the test confirmed he was the father, it wouldn't just be a scandal, it would be a crime. But there was more. R began to notice strange things. Calls that ended as soon as he picked up. Men in suits watching him from across the street. He told me he felt like he was being hunted. "They don't want me to exist," he said. Over the years, R's fight for a paternity test became a legal nightmare. He went from one court to another, filing motions, appeals, anything to get someone to listen. But each time, the doors slammed shut. At one point, he took his case to the Supreme Court, hoping they would force Jay to take the test. But the court refused to hear him. They said it wasn't within their jurisdiction. Another dead end. R spoke to me about the corruption he believed was behind it all. He said Jay's lawyers weren't just defending him, they were sabotaging him. R's legal team seemed compromised, their efforts at best half-hearted. He believed they had been bought off. "They want to erase me," he said, "just like they erased my mother." Even in death, W's presence loomed over this story. She spent her life fighting to prove the truth, and now her son was doing the same. But the more I learned, the more I realized how far Jay's team would go to keep all of this hidden. There were rumors, horrible ones, that W's death wasn't natural. Some said she'd been sick for years, worn down by the stress of the battle. Others believed in something darker. R himself feared the worst. He told me, they didn't just let her die, they helped her. I didn't know what to believe, but one thing was certain. This was no longer just about a paternity test. It was about power. R didn't just fight in the courts. He fought with his music. He released a track called Stacks, a direct challenge to the man he believed was his father. "Jay, I'm coming for the industry," he said in an interview. "You can't stop me." The song wasn't just about his talent, but about his defiance. He was telling the world, "I exist. You can't silence me." But the response was brutal. R said his opportunities vanished overnight. Promoters stopped calling. Collaborators pulled back. He believed that Jay's influence was behind it all. "They think they can bury me just like they buried her," he said. "As I tell you this, the fight is still ongoing. R hasn't given up, and neither have the forces working against him. The courts, the lawyers, the men in suits, they're all part of the same machine. A machine built to protect the powerful and destroy anyone who dares to challenge them. But I believe in one thing. The truth has a way of coming out. Secrets don't stay buried forever, not even for a man like J&W. Her voice might have been silenced, but her story lives on through her son. Through every legal act, every song, every whispered word. So now I ask you, do you hear it too? That whisper in the dark? The one that says, the truth is coming, because it is. And when it does, no amount of money or power will stop it. R's battle had reached a critical point. The legal road seemed closed forever, but he never stopped. And now, something was about to change. His case had resurfaced in a way no one expected. Documents they thought were gone had returned. And with them, some testimonies that could rewrite the entire story. R's lawyer, a man who'd worked behind the scenes for years, had finally found a loophole in the system. A mistake, a small detail hidden within the folds of bureaucracy. A witness who had seen something years before. But the forces that had protected Jay were moving faster. And so, a new phase of the fight began. The one against those who had the power to change laws in their favor. R couldn't even trust those who seemed to be his allies. Yet the truth, which had seemed like a ghost, was beginning to make itself heard, louder and louder. His music, however, didn't stop. Every day, a new song, a new message, a new challenge. His voice echoed in every corner of the city. Every step brought him closer to the truth, but also to total destruction. R had always known the price of discovering the truth would be high, but now he was realizing just how high. The day came without warning. A new testimony, a key that could finally unlock all the doors that had been closed until that point. R found himself facing a decision. Go all the way, face a truth that would forever change the face of his existence, or take a step back and let it go. But R was already too far from the point of no return, and the truth was calling him. The new evidence that had come to light wasn't just about paternity. It was something much darker, a web of complicity that stretched far beyond the walls of Brooklyn. It was a power game that had started long before R was born, a game that had involved many people, too many. The names on those documents weren't just legal, they were names that could topple empires. "I can't stop now," R told me with a calmness I'd never seen before. "I can't stop, even if I lose everything. This is my life, and the truth must come out." The tension was palpable. Every step R took now seemed closer to a truth that would tear the whole world apart. Jay, the man who seemed invincible, was about to see his darkest face reflected in the waters of a past he thought he had buried. And as the final revelation approached, I realized one thing: no shadow can stay hidden forever. Even the darkest truth has a light that sooner or later finds its way through. And when that light comes, nothing will stop it.